President Obama is a Christian. He was born in the United States. But many Americans say they don't think so. And this issue is back in the news because Donald Trump is defending his, well, lack of defense for the president. At a Thursday night Trump town hall, a questioner said to Trump that Obama is a Muslim, and Trump didn't correct him. This morning, as you can imagine, this is a big topic on Sunday morning shows. We've collected up Trump's comments from NBC, ABC, and CNN, and notice what Trump says.
For the record, was President Obama born in the United States?
Well, you know, I don't get into it, George. I talk about jobs. I'm talking about the military. I don't get into it.
Can you imagine supporting or being comfortable if a Muslim ever became president of the United States?
Would I be comfortable? I don't know if we have to address it right now, but I think it is certainly something that could happen.
You said you'd had no problem putting a Muslim in your cabinet.
Some people have said it already happened.
Do you not have a responsibility to call out this hatred?
Well, you know, we could be politically correct if you want, but certainly, are you trying to say we don't have a problem? Because I think everybody would agree. We certainly do have a problem. I mean, you have a problem throughout the world.
It feels to me like Trump is treating facts about the president's past like they are debatable points. Joining me now to talk about this, Steve Malzberg, the host of the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV in the evening. Steve, thank you for being here.
My pleasure, Brian.
I'm curious to explore this strain within the conservative movement and, frankly, within conservative media at times. What do you think it represents when polls show that a significant minority of Republicans, I think 43% according to one poll, say they don't believe that the president is Christian?
15% in your own CNN poll of Democrats think he's a Muslim. Almost a majority, about 48%, and in previous polls it was over a majority. When you combine think he's a Muslim or don't know, right now it's about 48% in your CNN poll. Are they all racists? Are they all fanatics? Are they all hate mongers? The president can be perceived and has been perceived as by many as being an Islamist sympathizer by his actions. Most of his Middle East policies favor the Muslim Brotherhood. His really rocky relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu.
Favor the Muslim Brotherhood?
Yeah, he was very upset when the Muslim Brotherhood got kicked out of Egypt. He tried to remedy that. He's gone to bat for them in every way. Look at the Middle East. The Middle East is a disaster. Look at Libya. Who's in charge in Libya? Who's in charge in Syria?
Some of those are debatable points.
But there's more.
Whether he sympathizes with Islamists is perhaps a debatable point. It's not debatable about his citizenship or about his religion.
He says he's a Christian. That's good enough for me. He says, and he's a citizen until somebody shows me he's not. That's good enough for me. But when your policies, both abroad and at home, look, he used the prayer breakfast in February to bring up the Crusades right after Muslim terror attacks, as if to say, hey, these Muslim terror attacks aren't so bad. Look what the evil Christians did. He's a very strange, devout Christian by his actions and his policies, and I think that's fair to say.
Isn't there enough to criticize about the president without invoking his religion, however?
Who invoked his religion? Donald Trump did. Listen, when Hillary Clinton was asked about this in 2008, she said, of course he's a Christian, of course. As far as I know. Now, doesn't that raise a whole bunch of doubt and leave it open-ended? Why isn't the media scrutinizing her and asking her now, because she's criticizing Trump?
Well, that you're saying it was 7 years ago when that happened.
Well, they should bring it up.
Trump is doing it this morning.
I understand that. Well, but he never said anything. What he said now is there's a, by the way, the cut that you cut off at the end where Trump said there's a problem all over the world, he said specifically to Jake Tapper with radical Muslims.
That's right.
Radical. And that wasn't portrayed in this cut, so that was not fair to Donald Trump. I'm not his defender, but I'm an expert in media bias.
I'm wondering what it means when we see a significant plurality of the country expressing doubt about the president in this way, and has been happening for 7 years. Do you think that most of the people that say that actually believe it, or is it a way of saying no confidence? Is it a way of voting against the president, or do you think it's actually a believed thing?
I think there are a lot of people who believe that there's a lot of doubt about this president. Remember, Donald Trump wanted to give $5 million to the charity or charities of the president's choice if he simply released his college records, his transcripts, and all that went with it.
But that's about sowing doubt. That's about sowing doubt.
Yeah, but the president said no. Why wouldn't he release his college transcript for $5 million to charity? And Trump was the brunt of the jokes back then. Why not the president? See, the media is all messed up. Now, again, I don't think he's a Muslim, and I believe he's a citizen. But there's enough room where people would have their doubts, as evidenced by your own poll. And it's not just Republicans and Trump supporters. It's almost a majority of Americans either think he is or don't know. So I don't know the exact answer why, but here are some reasons that I've just outlined.
Doesn't every responsible journalist and every responsible opinion analyst type have a responsibility to say loudly and clearly every time they talk about this, the president was born in the U.S., the president is a Christian.
No, not every time. I mean,
no?
No, Hillary...
Because otherwise it sows doubts. It creates these kinds of suspicions.
Well, Hillary said that the Republican presidential candidates have a lot in common with terrorists. Does every journalist have a responsibility going forward to
I think that should have gotten more coverage by the way when that was said.
And so should Joe Biden have said back in 2008 when he said the president was the first clean, articulate black person ever to run for president. He got a pass on that. Bernie Sanders, I know it was 40 years ago, but he wrote a piece, an opinion piece, a story, a fantasy, if you will, that women like to be raped. They think of being raped by 3 men at the same time when they're having sex with their spouses. Why don't these things get the coverage?
Do you think there's any such thing as a false equivalency?
I think there's a double standard, a horrific double standard.
Not a false equivalency when you're bringing up 40-year-old comments about Bernie Sanders?
Or Joe Biden's or Hillary's, which you admitted should have gotten more coverage. We could take it 40 years.
That was a recent story.
Right. Yeah. Or Barack Obama in 2010.
I think it does damage to our country, damage to the viewers at home when Trump sows doubt in this way, doesn't just explicitly answer the question. We saw other candidates this morning on Sunday morning shows saying, yes, the president is a Christian. Yes, he was born here.
Barack Obama in 2010 told the Hispanic audience that you don't reward your enemies, meaning the Republicans. And it goes on. Barack Obama said if you're against the Iran deal, the Republicans who are against the Iran deal are like the hardline Iranians and they're crazies. Is that good? Is that so good feelings throughout the country?
I don't think it's the same as delegitimizing the president of the United States.
Trump didn't do it. This questioner did, and he addressed the second part of the questioner's question. Again, I'm not defending Donald Trump. I just think we're making a big deal here about nothing.
Steve, I appreciate you being here
My
this morning.
pleasure. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.